Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
Indie Alaska is a groundbreaking series that dives into the lives of people living in the last frontier. Each episode introduces you to colorful characters from around the state. Funding for Indie Alaska is provided in part by Alyeska Pipeline Service Company. Catch the latest episodes at alaskapublic.org.
The National Weather Service.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks again for joining us for this Sunday's edition of Alaska Weather. There's a high wind warning still in effect for Prince of Wales Island here for those 40 to 65 mile per hour winds, but that's only out for another hour, set to expire at 7 p.m. tonight or this evening. And moving on to the satellite imagery, you can see quite vividly the storm system responsible for the high wind warning in that area, this low moving northward here over the eastern Gulf of Alaska off the Panhandle coast there at the front, swinging inland. That brought the 50 to 70 knot winds to the coastal areas today from about Dixon Entrance up to Cape Fairweather and the storm warnings in that area. Also storm warning over Clarence Strait throughout the day today. And you can see the system rain spreading northward, heaviest rainfall amounts over the southern areas and lighter amounts to the north, but they'll be catching up this evening. Back to the west here, an area of low pressure trough swinging some moisture across south central Alaska today. And another area of some moisture here, mostly in the form of snow showers here over eastern Norton Sound and Nulato Hills and up into the eastern Seward Peninsula area. Some breaks here over the northern interior areas from about the Selawik Valley back to the west into the upper Yukon Valley. Some sunshine down into the Fairbanks area today, as well as over the Copper River Basin. And back to the west here, we still have a lot of clouds, gusty winds and showers from St. Lawrence Island sweeping southward across the Pribilofs into the eastern Aleutians and Alaska Peninsula. On the chart today, there's the low center this afternoon with the front right along the south coast, again, all moving northward. The heaviest rain over the southern areas there with Heidelberg picking up about 1.5 inches of rain in the last 24 hours, while Ketchikan, Klawock and Shelter Cove all picked up about 1 inch of rain during the same time period. Rain and showers again pushing westward across south central Alaska from Prince William Sound, but that's moved off to the east and kind of dissipated, so we're getting into this clearing area that was back over the Copper River Basin most of the day today, with temperatures rising up to near 50 degrees in that area. And again, you can see the clearing here up over the Tanana Valley, back to the west a little bit and up to the north. And this low pressure center again kicked off some snow showers, cloudy skies, Norton Sound, Seward Peninsula, into the Nulato Hill areas there. And then the tighter gradient associated with the gusty winds here from the St. Lawrence Island area southward across the Pribilofs. Had some rain and snow showers earlier today at St. Paul, mostly just rain showers here for the eastern Aleutians and Alaska Peninsula. And a trough farther out here to the west, bringing a little light precipitation into that area. Well, for tonight's forecast, this low moves northward here into the northeast Gulf of Alaska. Tightest gradient now along the north coast, winds diminishing down to the south along with the rain. And there are storm warnings out from Cape Edgecombe to Cape Fairweather for tonight, and a storm warning continues for Clarence Strait this evening for southeast winds to 50 knots. Then that'll be diminishing later this evening on toward midnight. So the rain coming back to the west across Yakutat, probably not quite making it over to Cordova, and possibly some moisture working into the Wrangell Mountain areas. Otherwise, decreasing showers here with some clearing over south central Alaska, areas of fog forming in the lighter wind conditions, still some scattered showers over the Kodiak Island area, again mostly to the western and southwest side of the island there, mostly affecting that area. Now low pressure center now just weakening to a trough there. But much of the interior, light winds and variably cloudy skies, fair conditions, and some areas of rain and snow there from the northwest interior down across the Seward Peninsula, with mostly possibly some clear skies here on the eastern Arctic coast and North Slope areas, but most of this area of snow showers will stay off the coast there. Again, scattered snow showers across much of the eastern Bering Sea, and those winds continuing in that 15 to 25 gusts, 30 to 35 mile per hour range through this area, right on down to the eastern Aleutians and Alaska Peninsula. And then the next storm out there to the west tomorrow will swing a front into about this position with some wind and rain, not too strong on the winds, but rain spreading in over the western and central Aleutians. Lighter winds now, St. Lawrence Island, eastern Bering Sea, but still some showers going on along the Alaska Peninsula and back all the way up to St. Lawrence Island. Snow showers over the northwest coast, Noatak Valley areas, but accumulations less than an inch, some scattered rain and snow showers over the Seward Peninsula, and some isolated to scattered shower activity to go along with the mostly cloudy skies here over the southwest interior down into the Aleutian Range area. And then the low center moves up to the north here to about Northway, weakens to 987 millibars. Still enough of a gradient to keep gale warnings out along the southeast coast tomorrow. 30 to 35 knot southwesterly winds with periods of rain continuing, and you can see a lot of moisture all the way back to the southwest here, mostly in the form of showers. They'll continue to move up with each impulse caught up in the southwest flow there, keeping it wet through tomorrow and tomorrow night, but partly sunny skies still in the forecast after the morning, low clouds and fog here over south central Alaska, all the way up into the interior, looking good again tomorrow through the Tanana Valley, even the Copper River Basin, maybe a few more clouds trying to sneak in from the east there, but not too bad. And up over the North Slope Arctic coast, pretty good conditions there. Chance of snow still back in the west, as I mentioned, but the central and eastern Arctic coast remaining dry. And then the forecast for Tuesday shows less wind here. It's down to small craft advisories now for the coastal areas, with still numerous showers, southwest flow, still a trough off the coast. That'll keep it wet through Tuesday and probably into Tuesday night before that moves through and maybe a little drier conditions move in. Some showers working westward here. Chance of rain across south central Alaska, especially northern Cook Inlet up into the Susitna Valley, with some scattered rain and snow showers over the Wrangell Mountains up into the 40-mile country there, the upper Tanana Valley. Otherwise, remaining dry with light winds over the central and northern northeast interior areas. Weak low off the central Arctic coast. That'll bring a chance of some light snow flurries or snow showers to the Barrow area and the western Arctic coast, kind of extending down into the Seward Peninsula area. Scattered rain and snow showers here over the southwest interior, with in the milder air, mostly just some scattered showers there over Bristol Bay. And this moisture flowing northward here will bring some shower chances into southwest Kodiak Island. Chance of showers or rain developing late in the day here for the southern Alaska Peninsula. East winds 30 knots or the eastern Aleutians, with rain through that area due to this low center here that kind of slips on down from the northwest. Temperatures today along the southwest or southeast coast, upper 40s to lower 50s across the entire area there. 50 degrees at Sitka, Juneau, Skagway, and Yakutat. 52 in Valdez, Cordova up to 54, and 51 with sunshine at Gulkana, with the showers and rain mostly in the 40s here for the Susitna Valley and Cook Inlet, but Homer up to 53, Kodiak at 50, 38 degrees Northway, but sunshine, 49 in Fairbanks at 4 p.m., 27 at Fort Yukon, Arctic Village just 19, but up to 37 at Bettles, with a 35-degree reading at McGrath. Ambler had 39. Up along the Arctic coast, temperatures ranging in the 20s there, ranging from 28 at Barrow to 20 degrees at Point Lay, and mid to upper 30s here over the northwest coastal area, as well as the Seward Peninsula, 36 at Nome. Same thing at Shishmaref, with Kotzebue at 39 degrees. 39 also at Aniak, a 38-degree reading at Bethel, with lower 40s here for the Pribilofs, mid to upper 40s out over the Aleutians, and in the 40s from the Fox Islands all the way up across Bristol Bay. Lows for tonight, teens and single numbers here through the Brooks Range. Coldest around Arctic Village, otherwise teens and 20s for the Arctic coast. Upper 20s to lower 30s for the Seward Peninsula and Northwest Interior. Mostly in the 30s here, Yukon, Kuskokwim Delta, Bristol Bay. Lower 40s for the Aleutians, mid to upper 40s for the southeast coast. And for highs tomorrow, 20s up over the North Slope, Brooks Range, Arctic coastal areas there, with mid to upper 30s here over the Northwest Seward Peninsula. Lower 40s, Yukon, Kuskokwim Delta into the valley there to the eastern or to the western Alaska Range, and mid to upper 40s for south central Alaska. Upper 30s through the Tanana Valley and the southeast coast. Not too bad, looking at lower 50s just about everywhere. Moving on to flying weather, we've got marginal VFR here along the southeast coast with IFR along the eastern border from Skagway, Juneau, all the way down to the south there towards Stewart, with marginal VFR extending across the Gulf of Alaska all the way to Kodiak Island. Areas of marginal VFR along the Alaska Range here, and some areas of marginal conditions up over the northeast interior, but pretty good VFR developing here over the North Gulf Coast, Copper River Basin, into Cook Inlet and the Susitna Valley areas, as well as areas back to the northwest. Some marginal VFR kind of skirting the coastline of the Arctic coast up there, and then back down along the western interior areas there, Seward Peninsula, southwest coastal areas, on out to the Pribilofs, down to the northern side, or the windward side of the Alaska Peninsula and eastern Aleutians, and some IFR out to the west. Passes looking good tomorrow for Anaktuvuk and both Anaktuvuk and Adigan. VFR throughout the day Monday. Lake Clark and Merrill starting Columbus Day out on the marginal side and then becoming VFR with rainy, occasionally marginal throughout the entire day. Windy, marginal VFR. Isabel, occasionally marginal as well. And Mentasta, marginal VFR. Tanita, though, VFR. And Portage, VFR also. Chilkoot and White looks IFR. And for the freezing levels here, 2,000 to 4,000 feet over the northern panhandle and sloping up to about 6,000 feet down to the south. Kind of a warm wedge of air here at about 4,000 feet, extending northward into the west central interior areas, and then 2,000 feet extending from Nunivak Island down into the southern Bering Sea, and then a little bit milder out to the west and southwest. And for icing, looking above about 5,000 feet, of the light to isolated moderate rime or mixed varieties here along the southeast coast, back to about Yakutat. Otherwise, no significant icing at all here over the interior. Maybe some light rime icing up here over the northwest Seward Peninsula, Kotzebue Sound, and the northwest coastal areas. And then with that front coming into the western and central Aleutian areas, probably some icing along with that as well. Winds aloft, jet stream showing the stronger jet here, Pacific jet, 150 knots just south of the central Aleutians, diving well to the south, and then across Vancouver Island. And then another northwest jet, about 50 to 70 knots, sailing southeastward across the Bering Sea, and then coming back around into the southern southeast coast at about 100 knots, with a general broad area, broad trough of low pressure here across much of mainland Alaska, extending back to the northwest. 9,000-foot winds showing low pressure right over south central Alaska. Southwesterly flow from the Gulf into the Panhandle, 25 to as high as 40 knots there. Lighter over the interior, just 10 to 15 knots. Northerlies, 25 knots here sweeping down across the Alaska Peninsula. And 30-knot winds there across the Chukchi Sea areas. And then these southeasterlies, 25 to 40 knots in over the western Aleutians. And at 3,000 feet, south to southwest, 25 to 40 knots again here into the southwest coast. Again, that's going to keep those surges of moisture rolling on in for the next day or so. Low pressure over Prince William Sound at this elevation. Northwesterlies or west northwesterlies at about 25 knots there at Kodiak Island. 30-knot northerlies from the Chukchi Sea through the Bering Strait to St. Lawrence Island, lightening up a little bit here and taking more of a west-northwesterly direction across the southeast Bering and the Alaska Peninsula. As you can see, very light winds here, light and variable conditions over much of the mainland areas there. So consequently, not much in the way of turbulence associated with that. Pretty smooth conditions here, nothing very significant. Maybe the eastern Arctic coast, some light to isolated moderate chop. And that same condition here from the Chukchi Sea, St. Lawrence Island down across the Pribilofs and into the Alaska Peninsula. and then also below about 6,000 feet here, light to isolated moderate turbulence across the southeast coast, and then also with that front coming into the western and then spreading into the central Aleutians throughout the day. And after the break, I'll be back to look at the marine forecasts.
Working, traveling, or playing on the water is a way of life for Alaskans. But Alaska's cold water and harsh conditions can quickly turn any boating trip into a life-threatening emergency. Unlike marine mammals with their natural insulation and buoyancy, humans can't survive in Alaska's water without additional flotation and protection from the cold.
Abandon ship! Abandon ship! This is just a drill. Get your suits.
In an emergency, seconds can make the difference between life and death. Practice the steps to correctly don an immersion suit before you leave the dock. Everyone on board should be able to don their immersion suit in less than 60 seconds.
Got the lid.
Yeah, I got the suit.
Remove the immersion suit with a quick downward shake of the bag. If the snaps have been well maintained, they should open easily. Roll the suit out on the deck and sit down on the chest area near the head. Sitting on the suit makes you much more stable and eliminates the chance of falling and injuring yourself if the vessel moves suddenly or rolls. Put your feet in and slide them all the way to the bottom of the legs. Placing plastic bags over your boots helps your feet slip into the legs much faster and allows you to keep your boots on. The bags can be stored in the legs of the suit or in the hood for easy access. Be aware that some brands of immersion suits have tapered legs and require boots or shoes to be removed before donning the suit. Once your feet are in the bottom of the immersion suit legs, kneel or stand and bring the suit over your back. Put your weaker arm in first. If you're right-handed, put your left arm in the left sleeve. With your right hand, secure the hood over your head. Without the hood securely in place, you can drown or be washed out of your suit in rough seas. Sweatshirt hoods and hats can interfere with the immersion suit hood. Tuck your sweatshirt hood into your collar before donning. Remove your hat before putting the immersion suit hood on. If you wear eyeglasses, consider placing them in your shirt pocket or inside the suit to prevent loss or injury. Finally, place your right hand into the right sleeve. Make sure the zipper is clear. With one hand, hold the bottom of the zipper down and grab the toggle with the other hand. Arch your back and zip the suit all the way up. If any snags are felt, do not force them. Instead, lower the zipper to clear the snag and try again. A long, steady pull is more effective than stopping and starting. Pull the face flap across the top of the zipper and fasten in place. With practice, immersion suit donning can be accomplished with speed and efficiency. Once you are in your immersion suit, turn to help others. Working together, two people can quickly help a third person get into their immersion suit by the following technique. Have the suit open on deck and ready for the person. Place plastic bags on the person's feet and guide them into the suit. Once their legs are fully in the suit, have the person roll onto their knees, guide their arms into the suit, and place the hood securely on their head. Hold the bottom of the zipper down with one hand, grasp the toggle, and zip the immersion suit closed with the other hand. With practice, immersion suits can be donned in this manner in less than 20 seconds.
Put your head in. Yep.
You should abandon ship only after determining that being on board the vessel is more dangerous than being in the water. Always enter the water slowly and from the lowest point possible. This allows the body to adjust to the new water environment and minimizes the chance of injury. On some vessels, easing yourself slowly into the water is not an option. If you must jump, make sure the flotation collar is deflated. This will prevent injury to your neck and back or damage to the suit. Stand next to the side of the vessel, face the bow or the stern. Protect your head from hitting the side of the vessel by covering it with your inboard arm. This will also prevent the immersion suit hood from slipping off when you enter the water. Use your remaining hand to create an opening at the neck that will allow air to escape as you enter the water. This will prevent your eardrums from being damaged or ruptured. With the hand of the outboard arm, protect the airway to help keep water out during an involuntary gasp. Look over the side to ensure the area is clear. Step sideways off the vessel, crossing your ankles to prevent straddling unseen objects in the water. Once in the water, float on your back. The immersion suit's pillow or flotation collar helps you maintain this position. Forming a human chain while swimming allows you to move faster, stay together, and creates a bigger target for rescuers to see. 3 or more people can form a human raft. This technique not only creates a bigger target for rescuers, it allows the group to support someone in worse condition and keep them out of the water. When trying to attract the attention of nearby rescuers, you can also lock elbows shoulder to shoulder and kick your feet. The splashing will significantly increase your visibility, especially on a calm day. You never know how your day is going to end. Immersion suits have saved thousands of lives, but an immersion suit will work only if it is properly sized, donned, maintained, stowed, and used the right way. When an emergency happens on board a vessel, seconds count.
Well, tonight, look for storm force winds from Cape Edgecombe to Cape Fairweather, 45-knot winds along the north coast. And then for tomorrow, all becoming southwest, diminishing to 30 to 35 knots along the coastline. Inside waters, south 25 knots for Clarence Strait, southerlies 20 there for Stevens Passage, and a pretty stiff wind out of the south for Lynn Canal. For the Tuesday outlook, small craft advisories here along the south coast with those seas subsiding down to 15 feet. Southwesterlies much lighter here at about 15 knots on the north coast, and south to southwest 20 knots through the inside waters. And for Cook Inlet, northern Cook Inlet, light variable winds tomorrow with slight seas, westerlies at 15 for the southern inlet. Westerly winds 20 knots, Kamishak Bay and Shelikof Strait. We've got small craft advisories for northwest at 25 for Kodiak Island, and westerlies at 20 knots for the North Gulf Coast and the Barrens, and a light northwest breeze there for Prince William Sound. Look for some higher gusts out of the northern and western bays. And then for Tuesday, southeast at 10 for Prince William Sound. Southerlies at 15 knots here for the North Gulf Coast, down into the Barren Islands, south 20 along the east side of Kodiak Island. Otherwise, pretty light winds south to southwest here, Shelikof Strait into Cook Inlet. And for Bristol Bay tomorrow, westerlies at 20 knots, and that wind pattern extends all the way down along the Bering Sea side of the peninsula. We've got small craft advisories here from Cape Sarachev all the way up to Sitkinak for 25-knot westerlies. And then for Tuesday, light southwest winds here at about 15, Bristol Bay and the Alaska Peninsula, but on the south side looking at winds at about 20 knots to southwest 15 toward Kodiak Island. And for the Fox Islands, west-northwesterlies 20 to 25 knots tomorrow, seas running 9 to 12 feet there. Southerlies at about 15 for the Adak and Atka areas, and southeast 20 to as high as 25 knots out over the western Aleutians. And then for Tuesday, small craft advisories here, northerlies at about 30 knots through the west central Aleutians, and northeast winds at 25 knots for the central Aleutians, And for the eastern areas here, east to northeast, 25 to 30 knots. So small craft advisories in just about all of these areas with seas running 7 to 12 feet. And for the southwest coast, south of Nunivak Island, northwest winds at 20 knots, but we've got small craft advisories here north of the island, right up into St. Lawrence Island, 30-knot winds there down into the northern Bering Sea, northwest 25 for the Pribilofs, with those seas still up to about 11 feet. And then those lighten up, become more northerly on Tuesday at about 20 knots, and light northeasterly winds at 15 there for Kuskokwim Bay, still carrying the small craft advisories Nunivak Island northward there to St. Lawrence Island. And for the Arctic coast, we've got easterly wind gales here for the eastern Arctic coast with small craft advisories for the central coast there with heavy freezing spray. Freezing spray here for northerlies at 15 on the western coastline, then back into the small craft advisories from Cape Beaufort all the way down to Wales. Northerlies there 25 to 30 knots. And rolling ahead to Tuesday, still small craft advisories here from Cape Thompson to Wales, but lighter winds along the western Arctic coast, north to northwest at 15. Even the central coast dropping down to 15 knots out of the west. And freezing spray all the way over to Demarcation Point, and still with small craft advisories, those winds southeast in the forecast of 25. For tonight, again, the storm system weakens and moves northward. So again, storm warnings here for the north coast tonight. Again, specifically Cape Edgecombe to Cape Fairweather. Rain heavy at times over the inside waters here. Juneau southeast winds up to 45 knots. Some scattered showers around Kodiak Island. Fair over the interior. Not much change out here over the Bering Sea. And except tomorrow those winds will become lighter, but still a lot of clouds and showers coming all the way down to the Alaska Peninsula and eastern Aleutians. A little bit of moisture up here over the northwest interior in conjunction with this low center. Wet and windy over the southeast coast. Partly sunny here over south central Alaska for Columbus Day. And then a chance of rain moves in on Tuesday, and wetter and dry.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.